Hello everyone and welcome to the final part of the Spiel Preview list. I've been going through it. There's over 1,100 games on there now. I've sort of narrowed it down to the top like 5-10%. This is the final part of that, and I will be in the future going to go through like my top 10. It might be a little bit over than that because it's hard to pick just 10. But here are some really interesting games that I think you should be checking out at Spiel if you're going in 2023. Starting off with Stick Collection. Now this was a little small game from Essen, which is one of those companies that we don't necessarily see too many games from. Tokyo Highway is probably their biggest known game, but this one is, well, you're trying to collect these sticks. Now it might sound like a really odd premise because you're effectively like bidding and trying to get the sticks that are only 5mm different from the ones you've already got. But you're obviously, just like with sort of when you're trying to pull sticks or something like that, you can't necessarily compare from across the table, oh, I think that stick is. So you have to be trying to judge it. It's an odd one. It just feels different. So I'm interested to give Stick Collection a go. Next up we have Tricky Badger from Jolly Dutch Productions. Now this is a small, it looks like set collection trick-taking game. Now let's just see why I'm saying this game, because yeah, that looks okay, doesn't it? And then all of a sudden you see some of the other cards. They look absolutely amazing. So yeah, those cards look okay. But here we go. This is why. Look how cool and cute though that looks. I just think most trick-taking games are just very number on a card and a bit of colour. This seems to really be going for a really arty vibe, and I think a lot of people might like that. So I'm interested in taking a look at this one. That's Tricky Badger. This little card game is called Nanatoridori. Now I think I've pronounced that okay, and that is from Arclight Games. So this, it says it's a card, like a ladder card game, but I think it's more of like a card shedding game. On this, effectively, you're going to be trying to either play a higher number or a higher amount of cards. The twist with this one is you can't actually change the order of the cards in your hand, but when you do draw a new card, you can choose where to put it. So you can start to be like, okay, for in this case, they've used these 2 1s and this 4 and this 2 are then going to be next to each other. Then if you were to use these 2 2s, the 2 4s in your hand here would then come together. And it's sort of, I don't know, it's like a spatial puzzle within your hand. The only other game I've seen do this that I did enjoy it in was Photograph, otherwise known as Wind the Film. So an interesting looking one. I'm going to use that word a lot because these are in my interested category on the sort of Spiel Preview list. But again, another really nice visual game. And there's some cool little meeple things in the box there too. So, Nanatoridori. I really hope I've not butchered the pronunciation there. If you're anything like me, you do enjoy a roll and write, a flip and write. Well, this is a draft and write, and it's draft and write records. So you're actually going to be like drafting the members of your band, and it's also from Inside Up Games, who just happen to be the sort of team behind the incredibly awesome game Earth. Now, I don't think this is as big as that. It definitely doesn't look anywhere near as sort of explosive in terms of the huge card deck across the table and everything, but it looks like the good stuff you want to see from a roll and write. It looks like there's or flip and write, that style of genre. It's got different bits that are giving you bonuses when you're completing a row, so maybe you're then triggering something over here. You're doing this tour round sort of, so you're starting there, you're doing this tour and trying to get to different locations. I think it looks like a very cool roll and write or genre, but the drafting aspect of draft and write records, that's something we've not seen much, and maybe could be a new direction this genre goes in. and I definitely want to give it a go because I love drafting and I really do like the and write sort of genres. So yes, sign me up to give this one a go. T2 Tum Game Studios are releasing, I think it's technically already come out to like crowdfunding backers, Age of Rome. They're also going to be showing off a brand new game, Restart, but I don't know too much about that yet. They're basically unveiling it at the show, I think. But this one, Age of Rome, has a really neat central board. It's circular, you can't see too much of it. I'm trying to click through for some pictures. We're getting lovely artwork, that's absolutely fantastic. But how about a picture of the board, please? Because we can see it. We can see a little bit of it here. That central board actually moves around, so you've got different things facing you, and I believe that seems to sort of affect what you can and can't do on a turn. Look at that. I think let's zoom in here. So you've got like this nice dual layer player boards. I don't know if these are just Kickstarter components or not, but I do like that sort of look of the board. It looks like we've seen some of the artwork that looks very nice, and I like the idea of that central board moving. I didn't back this at Kickstarter, just at that point in time I think I was backing other things, but it was on my I'll keep an eye on that, so I do want to see it sort of actually at Spiel this year. That's Age of Rome. Just a quick one here for Deductio by Nick Federico, and that's because it's going to be at Spiel, and I actually spoke to him, the designer behind this game, and you can go and check out that interview to find out more about this game, which is a nice little one where you're trying to slowly give clues out to your team to so they can try and guess the number that you've got. So you're trying to play these truthful clues, or maybe discard a clue that doesn't work for you out of the game. So I really like the idea of it, but do go and check out the video where I spoke to the designer and you'll find out more then. It's also, this isn't actually going to be releasing until 2024, but will be at Spiel. So if you want to pick it up super early, there's your chance, and it's going to be at the Brain Games booth. Also at Brain Games is, well, it's a silly one. It's one of those ones where I think it's going to be good for maybe a Christmas sort of time, family gathering style thing. It's Mimic Octopus. There's a few of these Mimic ones. I think this one is probably the safest of them. I think one of the other ones is like an After Dark almost. But there's not too many pictures of it because, well, they don't want to give too much away. But effectively, it's got these things where you're trying to determine what someone is, or a bit of deduction. It just seems silly, fun, but silly, good fun. And that's Mimic Octopus. From a very light game to probably a relatively heavy one, it's got a 3.8 something rating on Board Game Geek of weight, Zoo Tycoon, the board game. Now, I'm hesitant on this one. This is why it's not in like my must-see, my must-have. Zoo Tycoon, epic franchise, right? From the computer back in the day. These days, that's gone off the boil a bit, though. It's all about like Planet Zoo, the people behind like Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster. They've done a much better job recently in video games. In board games, we've had Ark Nova. And I feel like if this had released before Ark Nova, I think it would be getting all the buzz, because it's got a crazy number of animal meeples and they look amazing. But look how busy this box looks. For some reason it doesn't want to zoom in any more than that, but it looks very busy in terms of the number of components. But it also looks really cool the way you can get different animals, and you're also doing tile placement, something I really do enjoy. And it looks like if you get a certain animal, not all animals have enough of them, so other players maybe can't get that extra panda or whatever. I think it's going to be one that a lot of people are going to want to see at Spiel, because it's got that player board on the side where you're actually adding stuff to your zoo, bit like Ark Nova. You've got this central board where you can get the different types of animals, and they've all got different stats. And then there's this side bit, and that's what's putting me off a little bit. These tracks. It's a huge board for these tracks. Does it need it? Did it need to be quite that big? I don't know. It just seems like it's gone for like sprawling a lot of amount of stuff. we'll see. I would like to see it. It's one of those ones I want to go and have a look at, see how it's going, maybe demo, just to get an idea of if I'm still interested after that. That's Zoo Tycoon, the board game. So, Sea Salt and Pepper Extra Salt. This is a micro expansion for a game that I don't have. Why is it on the list? Well, I think it could be interesting for you if you're a fan of the game, but it's there to remind me, because I haven't played the base game, but I think if there's the expansion there, they'll be showing off the base game so I can go and try that out, because I've heard lots of good things about this game. It's like a push your luck set collection game. I don't always do well with push your luck, but set collection I do like. I've also been recently enjoying Deep Dive, which is push your luck, so maybe I'm coming round to the idea, or maybe I'm just sucking less at them. But yeah, it's effectively there as a reminder for me to go and check the base game out. But if you've already got the base game, well, I think a lot of people will want this extra salt as well. Next up we have Murder Pocket Party from Cranial Creations. Now, there's actually multiple versions of this going to be at Spiel. There's The Curtain Falls, and there's also going to be Deadly Sin. Now, these are, from what I can tell, 60 minutes, so really short and condensed, like murder mystery parties for 1 to 6 players. Now, I feel like that certainly sounds a bit odd. It sounds like the sort of one you'd want, like the 4 to 6 player range, like a murder mystery is, 6 is normally a really good number for that. So I like the idea of these, because they're super short, so you could maybe fit them in on just an evening rather than having to do a big old fancy dinner party. You could have some friends around for some food and play through one of these and have had that murder mystery experience. That's what I'm getting from this, and they're going to be small boxes as well, so easy to pick up as well. Very excited by these. If they're what I'm hoping they are, which is a condensed murder mystery, like an escape room in 60 minutes, that's a good amount of time. So Murder Pocket Party, Deadly Sin and The Curtain Falls could be quite good. I'm excited by them. Next up we have Tiny Mini Golf. And like I said earlier with Deductio, I'm not going to talk much about this because I've actually already got a preview of this on the channel. It's a small little sort of, it's roll and write, but then also push your luck when it comes to actually, so you craft the courses, then someone else around the table plays your course, so you're trying to make it really hard, then they try and do it by pushing their luck as quickly or in as few shots as possible. Go and check out the review if you want to know more, and also go and see it at Spiel. Horrible Games are going to be showing off at Essen. Quicksand, the real-time cooperative game, or challenge, sorry. Now this, it sounds pretty cool. You're basically trying to do these different things and keep those timers flipped so that the sand doesn't run out. You're trying to get these sand timers like around this sort of circle, because that's how you survive and win, basically, as a cooperative group. Co-op game, it's a co-op game, so they normally go down pretty well. You've got that real-time aspect, which could be chaotic. That sounds like a good twist. Well, I'd like to give this one a go, and Horrible Games rarely sort of lets you down. Normally they are fairly solid games. That is Quicksand. Pyramido is one of those games that's on this list because I've seen reviews of it already, and actually I really liked the look of the gameplay. So effectively you are placing these tiles, and slowly each round you place less tiles because you move one step in on your pyramid. However, what's still uncovered from your lower levels might be scoring you points. So it feels like one of those games where your first round matters, but it's not the end of the world, because actually your second round you're building upon most of that, but there's still a bit of it on show. So you want to try and work out when you're placing these things, am I getting the right symbols, because you're trying to get like the symbols to still be there when you're building on top of the rest, because then it might chain up and score you more points in a later round. I like games that do that, where it's and you get these sort of symbols to show which one you're scoring if you've got multiple areas, I believe. But it's like, here we can see if we zoom in a little bit, so this whole red area here is scoring because this is the current round, and it's sort of, you can trace down onto the previous one, whereas this green here isn't scoring because the green patch is over there. I like the idea of you can build up each round. So yes, I said your first round doesn't matter too much. It does, but it's one of those ones where in your first play, you're not going to be out of it just because your round one sucked. It might put you on a back foot. I might be completely wrong about that, but it looks like the sort of game where you could be teaching it and people won't feel like they've just instantly lost. And I like that. And also, it's then, as you're playing again and again, it builds in and you're like, okay, how can I really optimize this? But you're probably not going to do that on your very first game. That's Pyramido. Why is a suchy and suchy game from 2022 on my list? Well, before the guests arrive, which is it sounds like a fairly solid suchy and suchy game. Well, it's actually being re-released as Hygge by Helvetique. I think that's how it's pronounced. That's all I can show you. The old version had card artwork that looked like this, where you are trying to use the different people. So this blue person with two hands can hold two different types of blue items, and that's how you're scoring points based on the stars on these items. Now, I don't know what they're going to look like in Hygge, but, well, I liked the look of that game, and they're just doing sort of a new version of it from the looks of things in their sort of small box line. So I'm intrigued by this one, as I often am, by a lot of the Helvetique little box games. Cooperative limited communication games, but a two-player version? Often the crew or whatever, it needs multiple people, often because they're like trick-taking games, and that doesn't really work as well with two and stuff like that. But Sky Team, well, this has been getting a lot of hype around it since it sort of debuted. I think maybe at Gen Con. I'm not going to lie, I saw this originally and was like, okay, great, limited communication, it sounds okay. But everyone that has played it seems to have really enjoyed it, so I want to go and give this one a go. I think because it's been hyped, it's going to get some buzz at Essen Spiel as well. So yeah, excited to give this one a go. And it looks, again, like one of those small box, but you could take this with you as two of you and enjoy sort of a short game and try and make it through. It sounds like there's a few different scenarios of difficultiness. And last but not least, we have Faraway from Catch Up Games. Now, I don't know too much about this one, but there's two things that are sort of grabbing me on this. First of all, there's the look. Let's have a look at these cards. The artwork is really quite cool and quite sort of, not quirky, but it's certainly like a unique style. And the way that, from what I can tell, the game works is you've drafted these cards and you do them in a very specific order, and then you work back along them in that very particular order to sort of see if you can score them. Now, I'm not going to say I know 100% how this works, but it looks to me like either if you've got these symbols, you're scoring them, or maybe it's if you've got the right colour next to it or something, you're scoring. I don't 100% know how that works, but I like the ideas. Well, A, I like the look of the game, it's bright and vibrant, and B, I like the idea of you building out in a certain way and then scoring in reverse of that. That seems like one of those ones it's got that extra bit of thinkiness that just takes the game to the next level. So that is why it's on the list. It sounds like there's 4 covers. It sounds like it does not matter that there are 4 covers. It looks like they are all identical. They're just different graphically on the box. But I'm very, very much up for giving this one a go because it's drawn me in. It looks bright, it looks colourful, and that's what I want from a game at the moment. So that is Faraway from Catch Up Games to round out the list. So there we have it. I've gone through and definitely tried to give you my top sort of 5-10%, the cream of the crop in this video series. Not all of the games that I've covered will be on my actual go and visit list. Why? Well, some of them, as you've heard in this, I've previewed or reviewed other games on some of my other Spiel preview lists. Go and check them out if you want to see more games. Like, for instance, the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. That's going to be at the event, and it's also up on the shelf there. It was on one of my must-see lists to say, you must go and see it if you're a fan of Castles of Burgundy, because it looks stunning, and maybe give it a go for that one playthrough, even if you're not going to buy it because it's super expensive. So little things like that means they might not make the list. There's also the fact that there's only so many days that the event's going on for. So I'm going to have to be extremely brutal and knock some of these off the list, or, you know, maybe just be like, right, I'm going to go and buy this, so I'm probably not going to sit and demo that, etc, etc. But I will be back with a list. The top, I'm going to say 10 to 20 games, it might be 15, when I'm not entirely sure, that are like my personal musts, the cream of my crop. Whereas this was more, I'm hyped for all of these. Maybe I will see them. If I'm lucky, I will certainly, for some of them, I will look at them, maybe demo it, but I might not come home with it, sort of thing. But yeah, go and watch the rest of the Spiel playlist. Hopefully it will give you some ideas of what you want to see there. Let me know in the comment section below if any of these games have jumped out at you and are now on your list, or if some of them have been like, oh, I hadn't even heard of that sort of thing. That would be really cool. And until next time, have a great Spiel Essen event.